What's up, comrades? So tonight we're going to be dealing with the case of stolen valor. This is extremely important discussion for us to be having because, as you know, liberation is really the only Marxist-Leninist Maoist caucus in DSA. There are no other Maoists in DSA outside of Liberation Caucus. Red Star has a Maoist-sounding name. They read Maoist books, and Andrew has a picture of Mao behind them. So why are y'all biting our shit?
Hey, all I have to say, just right off the bat, is that my culture is not your costume. You know. Uh, all right.
I thought you were actually, I thought you were Vietnamese. Not gonna lie, but
No, no,
anyways,
no.
anyways.
Chinese.
Are you saying that Maoism is just Chinese Marxism Leninism?
Yeah, we're really gonna dive. I know that we're gonna dive straight into the good shit right there. Uh,
Just because you're Chinese, that doesn't mean you get to be a revisionist. And Maoism is whatever you think it is, comrade.
yeah, we
Maoism
really
words mean things.
stirring the pot right from the
Look at
get.
Shane. Shane is Filipino. His people have a little armed rebellion, armed revolution going on.
That's true.
These are facts. These are facts.
Yes, these are facts. Okay. Anyways, so all bullshit aside, Red Star is probably the caucus in DSA that, like, even though they're not Maoists, like, I would call them Maoish. Like, they're certainly not Marxist-Leninist Maoists because, as I've been saying for years and years, Marxism, Leninism, Maoism is not just like everything that Mao did, but they're still comrades. Why? Because we agree on like 95% of shit. So, what are Red Star's points of unity? Like, what does Red Star believe? Why should you rank Red Star people high in your NPC ranking if you're going to convention? Because well, that's pretty good points here. I really like how you comrades like avoid the whole like. I mean, you all did recently explicitly declare yourselves to be Marxist Leninists, but you identify as scientific socialists. That's something that a lot of comrades in like black liberation circles do as well to avoid like tendency squabbles because like ML finds out that you're a Maoist, they think you're an ultra, or they think you're just a trot with a gun or some crazy stuff like that. So calling yourself a scientific socialist is like, look, we acknowledge all of the revolutionary experiments and experiences that have taken place, but we realize so like, look, if we don't get this shit done, we're all going to die. We're in big trouble. So let's just stop the like. We could definitely disagree on stuff, but I'm more into like what the Filipino comrades are like. Like it's not necessary to argue over China in a tenants union meeting. Like some shit you just got to table because it's not really that important in a specific context. So so yeah, Marxism is a living, breathing theoretical framework, which is not and never can be a static set of dogmas. I see Maoism in that as well. Like y'all, why don't y'all just merge with us? Like, why do y'all got to maintain your separate? Why do y'all got to be separate?
We gotta dip our toes in the waters first, you know. I do. I'll let you keep going, but I will say that, like, from this is like kind of recent, right? Like the us labeling or identifying ourselves as Marxist Leninists, and that I think that was just earlier this year, maybe end of last year. It's published here. Yeah, earlier this year is like when we like finalized that and then like worked that into our points of unity and published it, and that was like part of the discussion, right? Because before this, like we, I think only identified ourselves as like a revolutionary Marxist caucus,
Mm-hmm.
um, because it's like a lot of the discussion came down to like what's the utility of the label, right? Like what does it get us? What does it what does it cost us? Not really cost us, but like like do we want to get distracted by like having labels and stuff? And that was like a probably the bulk of that discussion when we were hammering that out.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I mean that makes sense. And it's good like that you comrades actually had like a struggle over it. Like, should we identify as this? Should we identify? It's like a lot of people just like force stuff through. Like, you know, with Marxist Leninists, if you don't like it, get out. And like it says here, democracy is at your core. Like a lot of people misunderstand democratic centralism. They think that it's basically something that is sent down from on high, and you agree with it 100%. But one of the main reasons that I keep talking up DSA and I encourage people to join DSA is because, like, you actually get, of course, we have flaws like any other organization, but you actually get a taste of what mass democracy in an organization is like. I would say that DSA probably has a healthier party life, even though we're not even a party. It probably has a healthier party life than a lot of these smaller sects and cults and other such things. It's like, um, as a Maoist, I've been experienced and exposed to a lot of different groups, and a lot of them really do not practice democratic centralism at all, even though they call whatever they're doing democratic centralism. Um, so yeah.
Yeah. I'll throw in there and say that and it's kind of like something we say a lot is like this, like it's kind of like discipline is something that like you do. It's not something that you have, right? And so it's like you kind of have to like constantly sharpen that through the actual practicing of going through it. And like and I'm gonna say this in the sense of like we have so much, like we had like even in us like not even in us like joking around a bit, like we love having votes that come down to like the wire. We're discussing, we're debating, going back and forth over something and trying to like figure out what our position is on this, or like aligning on something. Because like going through that process of aligning and going through that debate keeps us in the space where like we're constantly practicing that democracy, but we're also constantly going through the process of like, okay, well, like, hey, this is what we're doing and we're aligning with each other on this. Like I specifically describe it as like we go through the process. I said this earlier today. Like we go through the process of finding alignment with each other or checking in with the alignment with each other that we have. And then if we run into something where it's like, hey, this is a major question, this is something we need to examine, we go into struggle. And constantly doing that is crisp. Like it keeps you so fresh. And I'll throw in too, just like you mentioned as well, like, you know, like I know as a fact that like All African People's Revolutionary Party, for instance, like they have like one of the most accurate depictions of Dim Sent that I've seen, and it lays it out exactly, clearly, succinctly. And it's actually kind of funny because like I always joke that DSA has no dim sent in its bylaws, but like there's a lot of ways that like the organization operates where like the NPC can do whatever it wants, right? Like the NPC actually has the power and oversight of chapters, members, and national bodies. Overturn decisions. We have to handle disciplinary actions for people. We have to remove people from the organization. We can stand up and shut down committees, people's work, other things like that. Like, you know, like there's a lot of things that like exist that actually handled and carried out, but like people kind of like point at like this boogeyman, but don't actually dive into like what anti-democratic practices look like and what a vacancy of political struggle looks like.
Yeah, you got to struggle, and a lot of people in DSA are like they see, they have the whole like, because one of the key points of Maoism is that, how do I put this? We cannot take struggle personally. Like a lot of people, they have the class standpoint, the class outlook of the bourgeoisie. Like when you look at Congress, they're constantly squabbling and attacking each other, even if they agree on things. They're constantly squabbling and attacking each other because these people are bourgeois and petty bourgeois. That's what they do. So I think probably the main thing that the revolutionary movement in the United States needs to do is like shed ourselves of our like all this petty bourgeois stuff that we learned in college. If I'm going to show you up at this lecture, or I'm going to challenge you to a bad faith debate so that my team looks good and your team looks bad, and then everybody agrees. Like that's a very, very, for one, that shit is bad for your mental health. Like you cannot engage, you cannot even talk to your comrades decently, or pour your heart out to them, because they're going to take it, they're going to back pocket certain things that you tell them, and then they're going to use that against you. That's what the petty bourgeoisie does, and we can't do that.
Twitter mentality, right? Like the sick quote tweet as struggle, right? That's like really
Is that a dig at me?
Down.
You're telling me to stop quote retweeting everything?
No, I'm not on Twitter, so I would not know who does or does not quote tweet. I'm just offering that as a parallel.
Yeah, you heard it first. Red Star says that Liberation Caucus is too Twitter brained. Anyways, so Shane, does this satisfy your very, very high standards for anti-imperialism? So they have a the part of their points of unity that talks about anti-imperialism. They flat out say that Red Star strives to weaken and ultimately dismantle U.S. empire. We acknowledge that while no political project is perfect, to publicly critique a government or movement that stands in opposition to the American government is to do the U.S. State Department's work for them from Iran to Palestine. There is no such thing as a third camp. One is either working to support American imperialism or to oppose it. As a Maoist, I might have like some, but this is definitely a lot better than what you see in like certain other DSA circles where like, oh, we cannot support Iran developing nuclear weapons because in our bylaws or wherever the fuck in our platform it says that we are anti-nuclear proliferation. I'm like, ooh, okay. So you're really going to, because you probably did not know this before. So you dug through our platform and our program to find something to justify you taking a lukewarm, milquetoast ass stance on anti-imperialism. Mind you, our country literally just bombed this other country. That should be the primary contradiction, not Iran wanting to develop. I mean, can you blame them for wanting to develop nuclear weapons? I can't. I mean, if Martin Luther King had had a nuke, a lot of shit would have went differently.
Yeah, I really like the statement on anti-imperialism. It's anti-reformist, anti-chauvinist. It centers imperialism as a central contradiction. The need for vanguard, opposition to third campism. A lot of great stuff there. Two questions though. The first question is, where do you fall on the labor aristocracy? Are those comrades that we can turn comrades, or do you believe that maybe we shouldn't focus so much on the labor aristocracy?
I guess I can start a little bit on this, which is I think that when we have this discussion, particularly like with the term like labor aristocracy, I think it means different things to different people. So I guess like that's maybe the first part of like trying to break this down, where like I think some people use labor aristocracy to like mean specifically like union leadership, right? Like union bureaucracy kind of things, versus like other people will talk about labor aristocracy in terms of like the global south, global north, or like the, you know, from like an imperialism lens where like all workers in the first world, or like all like white workers in the first world are labor aristocracy. So I guess like maybe that's the first part, which is like which version of that are you thinking about?
Yeah, absolutely. A common definition would be perfect. I think that those two examples that you gave are perfect. Could you tell me where you fall with each of those?
Yeah.
Or where Red Star falls with each of those?
Yeah. I think well, I'll say like speaking personally, like the first one, the one about like labor bureaucracy leadership kind of thing is, I mean, that's like a very small number of people, right? Like if taken like very literally, like it's just like, oh, like what are the, like if you look at the entire working class, you know, however you define that, it's a very large group of people, right? Even here in America, and then you like zoom in and it's like, okay, like what workers are like in unions, and then in the unions, like which one of those are like the bureaucrats that you would, you know, like union president or whatever, like union steward, staff for them. That's like an exceedingly small number of people compared to the broad mass of the working class. So like I don't know, like, you know, like that one is, I feel like case by case, or like a not super useful thing. It's like, how are you strategizing to, it would be like the labor equivalent of like, how do we strategize to do a pressure campaign for the legislative aid for this congressperson, right? But like the labor union version of that. It's like in some cases maybe it's a leveraged thing where like they can help you with a campaign or something. In other cases it's like it is just like 4 people compared to like 10,000 people at like the company, like the employer, right?
So there is potential within the that definition of the labor aristocracy. Is that right?
I mean, there could be, right? Like, I'm not just going to like write it out outright, but I don't think that it's like a fruitful place to start. Certainly,
yeah,
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like there's there's a basis for tactical unity, but like strategically orienting ourselves around the interests of union staffers and congressional staffers, yeah, that's no.
Yeah.
But
and like we have comrades that are these, that like take these roles, right? Like there are members, I mean, like in DSA certainly, but like in Red Star as well, like we have Red Star members who are like who do labor organizing both as like salts or like people that organize in their workplaces in their unions, and also as we have other members who are union staffers, right? And it's like I don't think that it would be like the strategy is to like organize all the union staffers, but like also I'm not going to be like, you're a union staffer, I'm not going to talk to you, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Okay, so I think that answers the second part of the question too, which is how would you feel about organizing people who profit from the super exploitation of the global South?
Yeah.
John, do you want to? I've just been yapping.
Yeah, I think I'd hop into it too from a perspective of like there's two complexities that I've personally been kind of like thinking through. Is like we've often seen like these outgrowths in the imperial core and like the American growth, like in the American working class, or what you would call it, of like periods of growth of like the left, of like the Communist Party, the Socialist Party, proletarian organization, things of that nature, when more and more people are kind of feeling that downward pressure of like the hot bourgeoisie, that higher level capital, those top level billionaires like Ford or like Musk currently. And so like, because people can move between those different strata, different arrangements in their proximity to labor, exploitation, all that other shit, right? All that other stuff, right? And so like, as you go through it, look at it from a perspective similar of like, it's like if you're down to help, but you have the understanding that you are going to have to like give up some of the privileges, some of the things that you have now. Like you have to be able to understand that. And so it's like it goes then onwards from there of like understanding that what this could look like long term, what this could look like over time, and other things of that nature. I think you could find a rationalization for it, but I also try to keep in my mind too that like, like someone could lose their job, get laid off tomorrow, and then now they're in a totally different position in a totally different area, or they're kind of constantly bouncing between gig work, other things like that. I've seen that happen to folks too. So I try to think about it from a perspective of like how people are sliding on that scale and how we get them oriented towards the ultimate end goal, which is kind of leaning towards a revolutionary moment. So that's kind of how I try to frame it in my head of like thinking about it. Is like, if you are someone who is willing and committed to being down with it, but of course there's also the question of like, are you going to actually maintain proletarian value, right? Like, are you going to be looking towards protecting your position, or protecting the piece of the imperial pie that you have over everything else too? So like, there's a couple different things in contradiction there. I just wanted to build on what Andrew mentioned there too, because like that's some of the stuff that I kind of think about through it. Is like, it's like you typically have seen like these large outgrowths in like proletarian activity in the U.S. when like economic conditions and political anxiety is high. So I think about it from the perspective of like, as people are inevitably pushed downwards, it's kind of like a thing of like where you see more of it too. But I'm still working through it, because I feel like we're headed towards another one of those moments now.
Right. And then does Red Star have a position on say grounding itself in the labor movements of other countries, for example, the global South, but any of the countries in the third world, any kind of alignment, any kind of international solidarity?
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll hop in here too, and I'll say that. So our general position that we're aligning on is kind of like, we want socialist organization, period, right? Like, so like workers organizing, getting developed as socialists and going forward and carrying that forward is like the key foundation of it. And one thing that I think about personally is like when we did a crossover, I attended a crossover exchange with Pete, or Partidos Trabalhos from Brazil. And one of the things that like came up was this concept of like, okay, like these workers all work for the same international company. What does worker activity across these places look like, right? Like, what does it look like for people who are further down? I'll pick on one of the coffee companies, and one of the other companies that really, really heavily exploits Latin America specifically, right? Like, what does it look like for proletarian organization amongst the people who are like harvesting the beans, harvesting the stuff on the plantations, other things of that nature, and the folks who were maybe further up the supply chain at the factories where the stuff is, where the beans are refined, or other things of that nature. That was a good thing that kind of like had me think through what that could look like, but also like in thinking about engaging with that type of international solidarity, it's also like, how do you even get in contact? How do you even maintain contact? How do you even go forward with it? Ideally, yes, we want to be aligned and we want to be supporting and we want to be kind of like building those ties. But in thinking about it also from like an experiential sense, like in thinking about how some of the ties were formed in the past too, it's something that I'm still like, it's something I'm thinking through too. But I would say generally, yeah, like we would want to be aligned because the proletarian organization and socialist organization is the key. Like that's the foundation. Like that's what's needed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that goes for the three questions I had off the top of my head. I think the fourth one was, how come you guys don't spell America with 3 Ks? But that was the only other one.
We don't even do that.
No, I mean, I mentioned before, I think that I read Settlers earlier this year, and I was spelling America with 3 Ks for a little bit. My text messages are
all right. So a lot of people don't even know where like that spelling America with the K comes from. It comes from like okay, so back in like the late 60s, early 70s, there was a lot of interest in African culture and languages. So that K actually comes from Swahili because there is no C in Swahili. So the K sound is actually used, it's actually represented by the K. But of course, like nobody, like the whole Maoist standard English thing, the whole $ stuff, that's actually more of like an old school MIM prisons thing. Like no, MLMs really do not write like that. Like for one, I'm not going to, it's going to take me 15 minutes to write a paragraph. I'm not, who has time for this? For one, I've got ADHD. I don't have time for this. I'm not going to, I left out the dollars then.
No hate on MIM prisons, though. Solidarity with them.
I like their movie reviews.
If I could actually quickly touch back, I think a common theme, like the common theme throughout all the questions, Shane, you just asked, I think that makes me think about is like a kind of a lack or a need for more investigation into our local conditions. Like, I mean, like both like here, like, you know, in your DSA chapters, local conditions, but also like more broadly to like understand what's going on, right? Because like a lot of, at least like for me, the political education that I have and like, you know, my understanding of how the world works, you know, a lot of it, you like start with like Marx stuff is like in the 1800s, right? A lot more stuff in like the early 20th century, but like stuff has changed a lot since then. I mean, some stuff is not, right? Like the underlying themes of like imperialism, settler colonialism, but like, you know, some of the specifics have changed. And also like, what does it mean to be organizing like in your area? Like I can have opinions about like, you know, should we ally with like international movements, or like, is this a good thing for like us broadly? But there is like an effort, you know, like, but like if I live in like my neighborhood, right, like I have the people that I interact with or like my coworkers, and figuring out like who they are, like this is kind of like what John was talking about, like the differing like and contradicting class positions and how they change in like your intimate immediate environment, I think is like something that we don't really have or don't do a lot of, right? There's a lot of like vulgar, like we're just going to organize all the workers, which like is a good start. There's a lot of like agitation that we need to do to like bring liberals in and kind of like open people's consciousness up that way. But like in terms of like what to actually do, I think that's like a big missing component.
Yeah, I want to throw in on that one too, because I think about this a lot when it comes to like tenant organizing. Because like I think about it from the perspective, right, of like you're talking about like if we take like the public housing complexes that have been like pretty much destroyed and like torn down all over the country, or have been like forcibly shut down, even if they were in some type of operating condition. And then you also have like the deindustrialization of the country too. So like people are moving from jobs that were stable, jobs that were largely unionized, into largely unstable jobs, largely and also which also then influences the rest of their positions. Like if like like me and my family me and my dad got evicted like 3-4 times, right? So like there was never an opportunity for us to build that type of like community that you would see like for like some of the folks under who lived in the projects when it was like still like there and like people just stayed there and that was where your family lived at and like you could go back there, you had a home there. But like when you're like when you're basically being hyper alienated and hyper exploited like that, is like like you're just going from place to place to place. Maybe yeah, go ahead.
A lot of that is on purpose. Like, I'm glad you mentioned a book I keep recommending. It's Broken Heart of America. It's basically a history, like it's a class analysis and history of St. Louis, of my city. I've got it. I'm not going through all of it. Wait a minute, right here. If you hear like a giant crash, it's because I knocked the whole stack of books down. But anyways, yeah, the Broken Heart of America, St. Louis and the Violent History of the United States. But it actually talks about how a guy named Harlan Bartholomew, he was basically the father of urban renewal in the United States. Because like before they started building all these highways and giant monuments and stuff, like you had organic proletarian communities, black, somewhere multiracial, but like these places were basically seen as incubators of radical ideology. It's like, okay, yeah, the socialists, the communists, the anarchists, they go to these neighborhoods, they have their own little bookstores, bars. Yeah, we can't allow that. So if you're familiar with St. Louis, the Arch, it basically sits on a huge area of land. There used to be houses there, apartments there. All that was torn down beginning in the late 40s to build up the Arch. And same thing, like every major interstate highway through cities like Chicago, Indy, Cincinnati, Ohio, Cleveland, like they were all black and brown working class white neighborhoods up under these highways. And now there's nothing there because they figured, you know what, if we can disperse these people, if we can keep them constantly worrying about where we're going to live next when we get put out, then they're not going to have time for organizing and stuff like that. Same reason why a lot of jobs, like it used to be back in the day, you could walk to the factory, you could walk to wherever you worked at, or you could take the bus, the streetcar. Now you can't do that. You got to drive a half hour back and forth to work. If you ain't got no car, you ain't got no job. Like all of this was intended to keep us constantly like on a seesaw, up and down, up and down, and you're not going to have time to worry about, oh, should I unionize my workplace? Because a lot of people, like I actually tried to unionize the place that I worked at, up until May, and like everybody was for it. Everybody had complaints, but at the same time, nobody want to get in no trouble because I've got mortgage, I've got kids in school, I've got this and that, and they want us being. There's even a term for it, the precariat. They want us constantly precarious. They want us doing gig work. They want us not knowing where our next meal or our next rent check is going to come from, so that we don't have time to think about organizing.
I mean, there's the other part of it too, right? Where like organizing, when it comes down to it, is like it's a very like intimate, like relationship based thing, right? It's like we talk about like building the party, building like these organizations, building these institutions, but like I don't know like what your experience was like at your but like organizing your workplace is like a very much like I know this coworker as a colleague, and now I like try to know this coworker as like a person, right? Understand like what's like actually causing them problems at work, and like you like build up this network of relationships in order to like build up an organization, in order to be able to fight together, in order to be able to struggle together and support each other. But like what all you're saying, the flip side of like moving people around, people switching jobs, is that like you literally don't have time to build those relationships, right? Like whether it's like, oh, all this time that you used to be able to like hang out together after work, you're like commuting, or like you switch jobs every 2 years, so you're always around strangers, right? Like
that's especially true with the gig economy too.
Yeah, I mean the gig economy is just that, like jacked all the way up. It's like only that, right? It's like every single day, every single week is like a different thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna throw it real quick too and say, yeah, like, and I think that like it gets at like why we have to like really like try to like develop an analysis of our present conditions. Like what are the things and where are the places where we are actually able to build trust and relationship with people in order to kind of like in order to try to organize them towards a specific thing. Like if I don't trust you, if I don't know you, if I don't know what you're standing for, or like, you know, like I feel like you just gonna do XYZ, or you just trying to finesse, is like I'm not gonna, you're not going for that, right? Like you're just gonna come off like another, like your typical, and you know, like not saying that all NGOs are bad, but like your typical like NGO that's just trying to like keep their grant money, keep the next thing going, and like go off and just service the next person or something else like that. Like people, we want something different, I feel like.
Yeah, our work has to be rooted in the masses. 110% has to always be rooted in the masses.
And just to bring up, Comrade Truman was joking about you all being dingites. Sometimes our members like to pop into the stream and be sectarian reactionaries. But anyways, the same dynamic exists in tenant organizing. Like a lot of people do not know their neighbors anymore. Like you live in a giant apartment building, or you live in those types of apartment buildings. Like you've got a 16 family here, then you got a 16 family over there. Like you go back and forth to work. You take care of your kids, pick your kids up from school, get them from the school bus stop. You're like, you got, I mean, yeah, you talk, you say hi to your neighbors and stuff like that, but you like people really don't like just hang out and chill like they used to, and they don't form those types of relationships that are essential to like for successful tenant organizing. Like people don't even know the names of the person that lives above them, or the people that live next door to them. Besides, oh, I wish they stopped making all that fucking noise at all hours of the night. Like, so I think part of successful organizing is helping to actually rebuild the organic sense of community. Like when you talk to elders in the black community, people always say, well, we used to have a community. We used to, like, the whole neighborhood used to punish me and stuff like that. Like that's how my mom says that she was raised. And she was raised like she grew up during the crack era. But even then there was still like some semblance of community. And then afterwards, now you've got this like this overall overarching pervading sense of nihilism that has basically done a number on the psychological on the psyche of the new African of the black community in the United States. So that's definitely something. Like every new African black organizer that I've talked to is like, yeah, we have to rebuild a sense of community and fix the immense psychological damage that one, the suppression through violence of our revolutionary movement, and then two, the influx of these shitty ass drugs into our communities that have basically turned us into into ops, like enemies of each other. When before we were basically we were comrades. Here we were just talking about you, Kevin. But so there's a lot of talk and chat about you guys. You guys' summation of your collective study of settlers. I'm actually impressed that you comrades read this book. I don't know if any other caucus in DSA has like done a collective group study of settlers, but I fuck with it. Like it's like for some reason the left, especially the white left, is allergic to this book for some reason. Yes, does it like is everything that Sakai says true? Absolutely not. Nothing like everything nobody says is true. Like no person is 100% correct. If you say that somebody is 100% correct, that's an anti-Maoist assertion. But like settlers is important because it's basically I like calling Sakai Lenin for the lumpen. Like he basically lays out all of this stuff that's happening, and people have to keep him like Sakai is not an academic. The guy dropped out of high school, so he was writing in the early '80s for people who were in the movement. Like he was not writing for academics at the University of Chicago. He wasn't writing for like hipster book clubs. He was writing for people who were actually out there doing this type of stuff. So I think that's why comrades who are non-white, comrades who are from a lumpen proletarian background, I think that's why we relate to it so much. And comrades that come from more academic background, they tend to be like, like his methodology, his historiography is wrong. Yeah, because like the guy really does not have any bourgeois professional training. Like he basically writes like you expect a guy who dropped out of high school, I think in like the 50s, and went straight to work. But the general gist of what he wrote, it's true. Like he was answering a question. people were asking him, like, man, why won't these white folks get their shit together? Why won't they unite with us? Why haven't we had a revolution yet? So he set out to answer these questions. Like, and people had take issue with that because it hurts their feelings. I mean,
If I remember correctly, they started off as like segmented zines that were being passed around in prison before he collected it all into a book. But yeah, I was curious of what you guys thought of it. What kind of conclusions you've drawn from Settlers when you guys read it at the Caucus?
I've got more Sakai too. This is probably his most recent like actual book, but
Oh,
it
yeah, it's a new one, right?
yeah, it's The Dangerous Class and Revolutionary Theory: Thoughts on the Making of the Lumpen Proletariat. And then you've got Mauzi's Revolutionary Laboratory and the Lumpen Proletariat. So yeah, basically centered around the Lumpen as a non-class. And whatever you like. And Huey basically had like the same, well, not the same, but he had similar assertions. If you've read his speech on intercommunalism, he said that, you know what, like the old school factory industrial proletariat, it's not going to be around anymore. Like he basically predicted the rise of neoliberalism and the subsequent offshoring of massive factories and stuff like that, the maquiladoras in Mexico, stuff like that. And he was like, you know what, the lumpen is going to be, they're going to play a pretty critical role. I personally like my personal position on the lumpen is that they're going to end up being like what the peasants were in China, because like there's so many of them, and they're being more and more being made every day. And a lot of people they just think that, oh, the lumpen are just criminals, and like, no, it's not just like criminals. It's basically, okay, if you break it down, lumpen means broken, proletariat means working class. So it's basically the broken, cast off working class. So like people that make their money by e-begging, like sending around GoFundMe's on Twitter, it's technically lumpen. People at OnlyFans, it's technically lumpen. Like there's the internet has basically created a whole new type of lumpen proletarian. And
I would say gig workers are also included into that lumpen category in like a loving way, like a very pro lumpen here.
Yeah, it's this downward pressure across the spectrum, right? Like you have like the professionals that are being proletarianized, you have the proletariat that are being like lumpenized, right? Like it's the whole thing is like a downward slide.
Yeah.
And I see this a lot in DSA. Like a lot of people in DSA, they don't like we don't have like real like old school jobs that you keep for 40 years. Like you have people that bounce around, shit, even union jobs. Like it used to be like you joined you went to go work when you were 18 years old at the River Rouge plant in Detroit, and you kept that job and you did your UAW stuff. But now, like unions place you, like, we've got work for you. I better go. And like, yeah, so it's radically different. It's not like it used to be. And what a lot of people fail to do is they fail to upgrade their analysis because, for one, they don't have any social practice. How are you going to analyze what's going on with unions or with Starbucks workers from an ivory tower office? Like, you can't do it. So that's what Mao used to call like riding along and looking at flowers from horseback. Like you can't just show up and be like, or go to a picket line for a half hour and be like, oh, I know everything about strikes. Then no, you have to actually do an in-depth, deep social investigation and class analysis. And that's what a lot of people failed. Yeah, you have to buy. Well, I personally hate pears. I've tasted pears and I don't like them. They're too gritty. But I love apples.
Yeah, I was gonna say too, and like for us, it kind of like also developed from two our comrades, Christina and Eve. They had some discussions, and then that kind of developed into not only an internal reading group on Settlers, because we try to do a bit of like internal like practice and study, like like there was one where two folks as I call them theoreticians, and it's kind of been catching on, like got into a back and forth about like differences between different things, and that turned into an entire study group for us because it was such an interesting like struggle over these concepts that like it built into that. And so that's kind of what got us into like, okay, yeah, let's all read Settlers, because two comrades were having a conversation about it, and they were like, hey, we want to like carry this forward and go forward with that. And but like that is also a key part of like how we kind of build cohesion around it too, because like we're like, hey, everybody, we had three different sessions for Settlers, like four different groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had like 4 different groups going at the same time to read Settlers, produced the article from that too, that kind of like to help kind of like set the tone with it. But I'd also throw in too that like one of the ways that I also read it as is like, like just like you mentioned, right? Like people don't even look at these folks like under the context of which they were writing this. Like you're talking about someone who is like coming literally, who is writing about this literally towards the end, like after the end of like the civil rights era, right? Like you're literally talking about an entire like decades of like the white proletariat turning on, or so-called turning on everybody else, right? Like it's a thing that like you may not even see play out with the same social antagonisms, but it can manifest in different ways of like, oh well, like I just don't want to really want to challenge challenge them on this. I don't really want to challenge my coworkers on this, or like it's fine, like like, well, maybe we need to make space for them. I'm like, well, or maybe they ain't ready. Maybe you can challenge them on their positions. Maybe you can actually engage in some social practice and like kind of like talk to them about it. Maybe you can actually go into political struggle with them about this, right? It's yes, yes. And that's the whole point of it. Because somebody brought up a good point where they were like, well, what about when this happens with like say for instance what we call the Black misleadership class. And I'm like, well, no, like this still applies from a class basis, right? Like this still applies. This is still a similar thing playing out where these folks are trying to protect their position instead of like leaning towards like liberation, right? So like it still applies in a way because there's still that class analysis mixed into there too. So it's a really, really good thing that I think like you can still use to examine like these conditions with and examine these situations with too.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I think one thing like like from in my experience like reading this text, like one thing that made it I think might make it more difficult for people to like read it and parse it is that it can be well, one, it's like it's quite polemical in a lot of points, right? Just like the tone of it, which I think like can come across as very challenging for people who are like not ready to like sit with these feelings, because like the text, I mean, just like a lot of other ones, frankly, but like this text presents this like problem that like some people might not be aware of, and then like doesn't have a neat solution, right? It's not like it doesn't have like a okay, and then you just do this one weird trick and it's solved. I think like it's like a common theme in our organizing where it's like people are looking for like that one weird trick, right? Like if we just do this one thing, or like we just like hit people over the head with like this slogan, or like do this one strategy really good, then like all the other pieces will fall into place. But I think like this text, like many others, is like it can be challenging because it's just like, no, this is like really fucked up, and like I don't have any answers for you, right? And like you look back in history and it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what you could have done in 1970 and 1980 to like flip a switch, right, and make it change. Like that's just like part of the historical progress that needs to play out.
Yeah, and a lot of comrades like they're America, especially with us millennials and Zoomers, like it's just trained us to think that everything's just fast, fast, fast. Like okay, all we got to do is hit this switch, like you said, and boom, white people will no longer be settlers. Or like people want the quick fix. They don't want decades and centuries of struggle. They don't want that. Like everything is like everything has conditioned us to not want that. Everything has to be instant. If it's not instant, then we don't want it. So, um, yeah, a lot of people are theoretically lazy. They want things that tell them, "Oh, everything's going to be okay." There's uh, everything is not going to be okay. It will take. It will take. I was about to use a Gonzalo White term, but I'm not going to use that. I don't want to scare the normies. But it will take immense suffering on the part of revolutionaries to make shit even like get in the direction of being okay. Why? Because we are fighting the most insidious empire in human history. Like that's why I just shake my. I understand why like people seek reformist strategies and see them as overarching solutions because the alternative is very, very, very scary. And like On the other hand, you have people that act like revolution is going to be a dinner party. All we have to do is just um, do a few things in Minecraft and we're all good. No, no. These people are going to fight tooth and nail. Tooth and nail. In many ways, it's easier for countries in the global south to delink because um, Americans don't like seeing body bags come home. And you're like, okay, 500 dudes just came home dead from Bolivia. You know what? Leave them the fuck alone. Leave them the fuck alone. We'll send our capital later, but leave them alone for now. No more fighting in Bolivia. No more fighting in Vietnam. None of that. But here, their castle, like that's why they're leaning on Zeron so hard. Like they are trying to come up with everything possible. They've even pulled up this man's college application to discredit him. They're threatening capital flight. They're threatening to turn New York City into Detroit. Why? Because you have this guy who's he's not a communist. He's a social democrat. All he wants to do is like, he's basically Fiorello LaGuardia with the tan. Like he's not going to uproot the capitalist class in New York City. Why? Because he's one guy and he cannot. But just this social democracy they're afraid of. So can you imagine how they're going to respond if there is actually a credible, full-fledged communist threat to their power? This shit is not going to be. That's why I laugh at these people on Twitter and on all of these other little dumbass sites that are like, oh yeah, it's going to really be, all we have to do is get our shit together. And no. Like chances, if you think that you're going to see the end of a revolution, then you really don't know all that much about revolution, to be honest. I've resolved myself to that fact, but a lot of people haven't. They think it's like a video game. The United States, I keep saying this, the United States would look like a cross between Syria and Belfast and the Troubles on a massive scale. I've thought about this.
Yeah. I was going to throw in too is that like what you brought up there too is like one of the things that like I think about how there was a conversation recently where someone was trying to like continually downplay the Black Panthers, Malcolm X, everybody except for like MLK Jr., right? And like the thing is like if they were not building something that would have been a threat to capital, then they wouldn't have been trying to assassinate them, right? They wouldn't have been trying to kill them. They wouldn't have been infiltrating them. They wouldn't have been fomenting splits, conflicts, and doing everything they can to like shut them down, right? Like, and this was on the same day that like I think that like of course the King documents dropped, but the key thing in there was like they had people in the highest leadership of SCLC, King's organization, right? Like tracking his and other folks' every move in the top leadership, right? And so it's like, it goes about saying that like, when it comes to it, it can be like, those are things that they did and that they did along the accordance of it to also steer other folks away, to push people away from it, to cause a de-radicalization too, right? Like I think about, something that like one of my stepdads told me when he was like, he was like, leave that political stuff alone. And
my mom told me the exact same shit, man.
Yeah. And like from his experience, like he had a family member who had got lynched, right? And like he had dealt with like harassment from the Klan when he thought about running for office. And he was saying that not from like a thing of like from a position of like, hey, I don't want you to like do what you believe in doing, but from a position of like, I love you and I don't want you to be hurt, right? And it's like there's differences in how those things approach in it, but it's like going from the choice to go down the path to try to do the principled thing and continue pushing to try to like change this is like, that is a lack of like I'm gonna make up a fucking say a revolutionary love, a revolutionary optimism. That is an act of revolutionary care, right? Because like that is like the ultimate thing is to change the conditions of the human, right? Like that is it. Like that is what we are trying to do. And so like it can be scary. It can be like something that can make you feel like this is something that like, whoa, are we really going to do this? Are we really going to like keep going forward with this? And it's like, well, this is the thing that this is the thing that we're going to continue to path on. The path has been set. Like, we may have started walking for a little bit, but the pace is picking back up, is how I feel, you know.
Have y'all noticed that all of us have goatees and all of us have glasses? Like the fucking
glasses gang.
Like the fucking Pol Pot would hate this shit. We're like the nerd Beatles or something. Anyways, so yeah, really appreciate you comrades sharing like what you took from Settlers. Maybe we can do like, I don't know, maybe a joint study group one day. Teach the rest of these unwashed Jacobians what the guy was throwing down. Oh, I'm gonna get a grievance for that one. I'm in trouble. I have not gotten a single grievance in my almost 2 years in DSA. I am shocked. Maybe my aura is too strong, but I am surprised. But back to real shit that matters. Andrew, you're running for NPC. John, you're already on the NPC. So first of all, John, why ain't you tired, bro? Why are you running again?
Bro, I'll be honest with you, yeah, but I ain't tired yet. It's a space of like, just like being in DSA is kind of like a choice. It's also like, it's a choice where like I know that I can continue to try to make interventions and also continue to try to like build the org into what I know it can be, and I want to keep going along that line. And so like, even though like it is stressful, it is time consuming, it is 7 days a week being on steering, it still is something that doesn't reduce my conviction to continue going forward, because like I've seen the stuff that has changed within the organization as a result of it. And it's like, and it also goes about saying too that like, yeah, like I want the organization to be a space where, yeah, like we're on here talking, we're like folks cracking jokes about us being dingus, and we over here hanging out with our Maoist homies too, right? Like, you know, like we're in a space where like we can engage around these things. So I just wanted to say that like I think about it from a perspective of like there is still like so much more to build for workers to have the instrument that they need to smash capitalism, and I want to keep us going down that path. We're getting there. I know Andrew got something too.
You got that on you, within arm's reach at all times.
Yeah, it's my lucky talisman. This thing has kept me out of so much trouble. I'm like a I guess you call me like a low key hoodoo practitioner or something. I've dressed this thing and everything. Anyways, John looking at me like, bro, you don't know what the fuck you talking about.
I was gonna say one of like I'm like I can speak Mandarin to my parents, talk about like what's for dinner kind of stuff, but like I'm pretty illiterate generally speaking. But one of the motivating factors is like, oh yeah, I can like read the original texts for this stuff, you know.
Well, look at you flexing.
Well, I mean, I'm not there yet. This is a slow.
I have a question. John, like you said, you're on the NPC, and Andrew, you're running for NPC. What are some changes that you guys are planning to make?
John, do you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go forward and I'll say that. So like one of the big things, right, is that like from our like kind of like examination of like, and it kind of builds into the conversation we've been having, right? Like whatever like you want to do, like you actually have to develop a proletariat that can actually, or a working class that can actually go forward and and kind of like get ready into the revolutionary position, right? Like it hasn't, like you have to actually cohere socialist organization, and you have to cohere, we're going to need a lot more socialists than we have right now to do that too, right? And so like from a concept of like building foundation to raise the roof, that means that like we need stronger members, we need stronger chapters, right? Like we want members to be developed into a space to where like, yeah, like they are protagonists. They are people who are able to go forward and carry forth the fight for their own liberation, right? Like I want to develop enough organizers to where like they'll out organize me and move around me too, right? Like that is the key thing that we want to try to do, and also continue the development of like connecting members and connecting national and chapters together, right? Because like there's still this gap there. And the thing is that like the benefit of being in a national organization like this is that like there's so many different analysis is organizing, and ideas floating around that people are actually putting into practice that you can pull from those ideas, right? Like you can actually lean on your comrades' analysis, see the things that they have that worked, look at it, re-examine it for your conditions, and then reapply it, right? Like it can absolutely be time saving. It can also increase the scale of what you're talking about and what you're doing. I don't necessarily think the organization is in that space for all of that just yet. And then another thing as well too, which is, like people will be saying that like the admin side ain't political, but how you do admin, how you lead, how you organize your internal structure is political. It 1000% is political. And there is so much more that needs to be done to kind of get the organization into a space where it has a steady foundation. So that way for whatever comes next, like DSA is able to actually be in a space to kind of keep tilting that current, right? I'll let Andrew follow it.
Yeah, no, John was like touching on what I wanted to talk about, which is like, John's on the NPC now. He's coming back for round 2, right? I'm running for NPC first time, this convention for 2025. But like, we're approaching this like Red Star. We are scientific socialists. Hopefully, everyone could become a scientific socialist. But like, part of that is like including this, like including like how we're trying to figure out how we approach DSA, or like whether to run for NPC, who should run for it, what should we do, right? And like in 2023, the last convention, when we ran for when we ran our 3 candidates and won 3 seats on the NPC, and we're like doing a national expansion for the first time. Part of our analysis of DSA, or like the state of like socialist communist movement in the United States, but like within our organization, our part of our analysis was that like a bottleneck, that like a widespread bottleneck and a highly leveraged intervention that we could make as Red Star was taking like entering the national leadership space and making it just function better, right? For those of you who are around, like you might remember, like we were running on, I think like, some people later on, like, I think you can like reasonably critique maybe like we were apolitical, or like didn't politicize it enough, right? Or like could have politicized it more sooner. But like there are a lot of like basic nuts and bolts stuff that John's talking about that like the org just like didn't function, and certainly didn't function for members, and like weren't led by members, right? You have basic things like documents are not available, or like were not available, or only available to like some staff, not even all staff, but there's like only some staff could see like financial records, only some staff could see like NPC minutes, even though like the new NPC like can't see the old NPC records, right? This is like it's not rocket science, right? But there is that like basic level of like, in the past, like a critique has been that like the NPC like didn't consistently like follow its own procedure, like it basically didn't practice internal democracy, right? And so like how are we gonna like have this struggle? How are we gonna like expand our struggle beyond chapters into a national organization, into like a strong, revolutionary or like horizon, if we like can't like literally don't have the institutions in place to allow member-led organizing? And so that was like a key intervention over this last term.
Yeah, and that explains like the whole Farrago, the whole struggle over the GDC. And I think a lot of people, you mentioned previous NPCs, like a lot of people, like they've established their little mountain kingdoms. Like, okay, the GDC is our thing, electoral is my thing, and woe to anybody that dares violate our castle. And like that's a very, very unhealthy way to organize. Like we're not NGO staffers. Like our goal as leadership in DSA, I'm a local leader in DSA. That's why I said our goal. But like our goal, national, local, whatever leadership should be to like ensure that this works for our members, ensure that this is an organization that people actually want to feel comfortable joining, not like they're being dropped off in a country where they don't know the language, where they're welcomed and they're not just frozen out by a bunch of cliques because they're new. And 3, are we actually on the road to socialism? What is the road to socialism? Of course, that's subject to debate. You comrades have some disagreements with us on what it looks like, but we agree on most things. So, like, are we on the socialist road? And those 3 things, that has to be at the forefront of every DSA leader's mind. Otherwise, there are going to be mistakes made. There's going to be cliques set up and are hard to displace. And there's going to be all types of problems. And if you allow these problems to pile up, and continue to pile up, people are going to eventually be like, you know what, these people don't know what they're doing. It's disorganized, and I'm leaving. And we don't want that to happen. That's no good, because really there is no place that offers the ideological diversity. Like, people are still shocked that a Maoist caucus hasn't been expelled from DSA yet, because DSA allows Maoism within the Big Tent now. I mean, it's still a branch of the socialist movement. So there's really nowhere that you can organize like DSA. Like, if you join a Democratic Centralist organization as a Maoist, and that Democratic Centralist organization is not Maoist, you are going to be expelled for setting up a faction. Whereas in DSA, you can have as many factions as you want, as long as you don't break any of the cardinal rules, as long as you're not going around harassing people or doing any of that stuff which you should not be doing if you're a principal comrade in the first place, then you're good. So our goal should be to bring people from all walks of life into DSA. And one of the things that I'm really, really glad that I helped found Liberation, because like, people are joining DSA strictly because of Liberation. They're like, you know what? I did not know there was a group of people that think like me in DSA. And even though we constantly tell people, look, don't just join DSA just to join a caucus. You should at least learn how DSA works first. You should at least get like a decent organizing portfolio within DSA, then join a caucus. But the diversity of thought has allowed for people who never would have even thought about joining DSA to actually take us seriously now. And that's a really, really good thing. I call Liberation the Lumperation Caucus, because for some reason a lot of lumpen like joining Liberation Caucus. It's led to some very, very funny interactions with broader DSA, but hey.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just wanted to build on the thing you're talking about with like chapter leadership, right? Like, I think the one thing that we've like seen nationally is like how one, like talking about like over this last term, just trying to do the basic stuff to get organized at the national level, right? Making stuff work and function, and like be accessible to members, be legible to members. And now I think like one thing that we're really trying to push on for this coming convention, and for the next term, why I'm running for MPC, has to do with like connecting, like continuing to open the doors at the national level, but then doubling down on and emphasizing the strategy that does work and like needs to work in order for DSA to really grow, which is to strengthen local chapters. Right, local chapters are where the vast majority of organizing happens. Like, you talk to the classic things that you talk to like random DSA members. They're like, I don't know anything about national except it's like drama or something, right? And like, there's parts of that are problematic. Like, we would like more people to be more aware of what's going on in the organization and have more cohesion all across the board. But like, that there's a truth in there, which is that most people, like, their face-to-face interactions are exclusively at the local level, right? Their like organizing experience, their struggles are exclusively at the local level. And even with that, like, local chapters are not actually that deeply rooted in their communities, right? And so like, in order for us to like be able to grow this organization, to like gain the power and the support that we need across the entire working class and across the entire like population, it's going to be local chapters that like lead that work. And the role of the national is to support that, is to connect people across that. Like, the one thing that unites all of the Red Star MPC candidates is that we are 5 former chapter co-chairs, right? Like, we all have this like hands-on experience of like running a chapter for an extended period of time, like doing that, organizing what does and does not work in a variety of different chapter contexts.
Yeah. So I take it that you comrades are firm supporters of the increased proportion of dues going back to local chapters.
I was gonna say, I'll hop in there and I'll say in general, as long as the membership is growing and as long as folks are getting monthly dues, like, it's going to keep going up, in my opinion. Like, from the end, if you're talking about for the resolution though specifically, we haven't had our meeting where we are voting on the resolutions that we're going to see for convention just yet, because I think we are waiting for the agenda, right, Andrew? I think. Yeah, we're waiting for okay, yeah, that's what I was thinking. We are waiting for the agenda, right? Had to find alignment real quick. But yeah, in general though, yeah, like, the big thing is that, like, for me personally, is I want to see how I kind of want to go through the process to see how like we actually manage our total financial position. Because like, say for instance, if we go through the process of wanting to say that we want to set up more services, then we also have to set up the things that can properly administer those services on top of that too. So that way we can actually get those things all in together on it. So like in my personal opinion, I would look at it from the perspective of like, how is this going to support local chapters? How does this fit into the things with national? And then how do we make these things work together? If I'm thinking about the right one for R43.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at you, comrades convention page right now, and of course I'm going to share it. I don't know how many convention delegates are watching this, but yeah, we're pretty much aligned with like, this is basically how I plan to vote. So this is neat. And I'm also going to link it in the chat because nobody wants to see me. My ADHD is just scrolling through stuff.
Yeah. And I throw in too, we threw out an amendment for R44 because really just being real, like in getting stuff together, we were looking at trying to.
I'm not logging into the forums. I don't want nobody to hack into my forum account and put weird things in there.
Yeah.
And also, I don't want people whining about, oh my God, BRG is doxing all these DSA people. Log to the forums.
No, so we had a reporter log in, get access in the same day, and pull up stuff to kind of dunk on Zoran, which was kind of crazy. But like, yeah, like
imagine if one member, one vote passes, then that reporter would be able to vote.
She would. Yeah.
On the other hand, I would be a shoo-in for an NPC seat in 2027. But no, I am not voting yes on the one member, one vote.
Yeah. I also like, even from like what we've been talking about here so far, right? Is that like you would want a bunch of people who aren't actively participating, right? And then like, I'm gonna just be real. Like when I recognized that I knew that I was or wanted to be a socialist and decided to join a socialist organization, like my politics hadn't fully developed to where I actually was a socialist, right? Like my good comrade Megan has mentioned this before, and I appreciate that, and that's why I'm borrowing from her when I say this too, because like, think about it, right? Like if you are not actually participating in like community in space with other socialists and actually engaging in the practice of it, then like where would your politics probably align, right? Like if we just started a Labor Party today, like we just threw together and say we're just gonna start a Labor Party today, right? Like what would the politics of that party look like?
A mess.
Would probably be imperialist, would probably be Zionist, would probably, like, just being real, right? Like it would like if you took the American working class today and threw together a Labor Party, it would probably look like those things. It would probably like, and the problem is that like if you lean into a space of like just saying, yeah, like we're just gonna like give you the opportunity, to say that you have the ability to tell everybody else what to do, and you're not even engaging in socialist practice, not even engaging in democratic deliberation. Like, I don't know. I think there's a reason why this type of model that we have works for, like the largest workers' party, like largest socialist and communist party in human history, right? Like, and the largest one on the planet currently. I think there's a reason why they use this, right? And so it's like, it goes about saying that like the practice of actually debating, deliberating, swaying each other, doing political struggle is important to this entire process, I feel.
I'm in agreement. Oh yeah. I would be remiss if I ignored this, but Reform and Revolution have a petition up to...
I was just going to bring that up.
Yeah, to ensure that ask the NPC to have a special meeting to discuss AOC's Iron Dome vote. Also, I'm so sick of AOC. Like every fucking week, it's something. Like, and people keep asking, like, why haven't you expelled? Well, for one, it's really, 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 really hard to get put out of DSA. It's really hard to get, like, you really have to fuck up bad to get like expelled from DSA. But this is fucking up bad. So I'm going to link it. And if you are a DSA member, do not sign this petition if you're not a DSA member, because I do not want to hear people's mouths. But if you are a DSA member, I highly encourage you to sign this and hold our electeds accountable, because this shit is just embarrassing. This shit is embarrassing. Like, there's a reason why DSA's name continues to be virtually mud in many circles within the revolutionary Palestinian solidarity movement. So it's like, we have to fix this shit. We have to demonstrate that we're serious about fixing this shit. Otherwise, like, people are not going to take us seriously when we talk about Palestinian liberation. You cannot talk out of two sides of your mouth at the same time. Like, you cannot talk about running AOC for president in 2028, which I'm voting against that shit too, because no, we didn't. I do not believe in rewarding bad behavior. I do not believe in rewarding bad behavior. I do not believe in committing the efforts of tens of thousands of DSA members and immense amounts of money to reward somebody who can't even find a spine on Palestine. Then not only that, but I don't like building cults of personality around politicians in the first place. So, yeah.
I'll throw in there and say that like that was
Shane, what is it with you in this AI slop?
What did I do?
Is it this you?
What, the last comment?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I was responding. It was Patrick was here. Said, did they mean the largest American Socialist Party? DSA is not the largest socialist party in human history. I was agreeing with that.
I get that. But why the AI slop? You need
I don't
to
know
learn
what
how
you're
to.
talking about.
You need to learn how to use real artists. You're destroying Memphis. How the fuck are you going to run around talking about anti-imperialism this and anti-imperialism that, and you still use AI?
We gotta know the tools of our enemies. If we cripple ourselves that way, then we're not going to get anywhere.
Okay.
I was going to throw in there real quick to say, like that was honestly like dealing with the whole Bowman situation in 2021 was like, because like I was a BDS working group member, like that was like what like kind of like even got me really leaning towards engaging with national politics. And it's also what like, like I hear it like, it's like I see a lot of things where like people talk about like factionalism, interpersonal things, other conflict within the organization, or like say that like, oh, it's just these tendencies going back and forth. But I was on Caucus during that entire thing, right? Like I was a chapter leader who had just restarted their chapter in the last 12 months. And then after the Iron Dome vote that day, when we were getting ready to do another survival program, because we had been doing them every Saturday for almost 9 months and had been getting momentum, getting new members. And several folks quit on the spot, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like it was, and then I turn around and I look at national and folks are like, well, folks who were more aligned around like just being like, well, Bowman's fine. Somebody even ranked in my top 3 in NPC was like, oh, well, nobody quit over this. And I'm like, people don't even know what a quit page is, right? Like for me, like that was like a moment. And especially since like one of the people who helped get me grounded in DSA is a Palestinian, right? Like that was like, no, we re-rolling. Because like if you are a member and you are adhering to the democratic decisions if you are a member and you're adhering to the democratic decisions of the motherfucking organization, then you have to be accountable to that. And if we aren't going to follow the democratically decided decisions or struggle over them, then like we are basically violating literally what the first letter in the name of the organization says, right? Like you can't say that we are operating under democratic principle, or that we are a democratic organization, and we allow people to just skirt around that just because. We are allowing someone to go hug a genocider and take pictures with them in Israel, vote on the Iron Dome, do all of these things, and then push them away from political education. They met with him. He told them then he wanted to be good on Palestine, right? He told them then, and then his staff and other folks got in the way and shut down all of that process. This caused the conflict. This caused the things to blow up. And so it's like, for me, it's like, it's just so ridiculous to then see, after everything that went forward from that situation, all the people who quit the organization, the initial vote to dissolve the BDS working group, all of that stuff, right? Like to turn around and see him then adjust his position on Palestine as he's getting pushed out of office, right? Or quote unquote adjusted. You know, like called us COINTELPRO in the process for just saying that, hey, you need to adjust your position and y'all need to talk to him about this to have him adjust his position, or you need to hold him accountable.
I'm still tripping off. How the fuck are you going to be the literal feds and you're calling somebody COINTELPRO? Like you literally are you literally are a United States federal government employee. How the fuck are you calling somebody else COINTELPRO? Like, bro, you are the feds, literally by definition.
Yeah.
I remember that too. Same thing with AOC. And then like the thing is, like, they use our resources, they use our name, they use like join DSA. But then like the minute they're expected to actually act like a socialist, then they get mad. I'm like, bro, we don't owe you shit. For one, under the same bullshit that you keep putting out, technically you work for the people. That's what you keep saying that you do. So why do you keep acting like we owe you something, or we should, like, no, you did a bad thing. You need punishment. You need discipline for that bad thing that you did. Like the day after she was crashing out on Twitter around all that shit, I think like 125 people starved to death in Palestine. And you really expect us to back you in running for president? I mean, first of all, you're going to lose. And then second of all, like, no, you have demonstrated. You people have been talking to you. And she runs her own Twitter, by the way. So she's reading all of this stuff. You have demonstrated after years of people talking to you on this. Why do I have a thing of toothpicks in my hand? You demonstrated like that you basically don't give a shit. So why should we give a shit? Like any other organization, you routinely break the line of the organization, you're gonna get put out. But like, because DSA is what it is, you're allowed to just go around and embarrass us day after day after day after. No, enough.
Yeah, and it comes down to like a thing of like examining like how, like for me it's like it comes down to like a thing of like how do we look at how these things influence the organization, right? Like people, like how these things influence the organization and the outsized influence that celebrity has on it, right? Like it's like people talk about our federal electeds and like Rashida is right there. She's been right there. Been
same
consistent.
Thing. Cori Bush
too. Like, and it's like no conversation around them, no examination of them, not even like.
I'm from St. Louis, and it continues to it continues to get on my fucking nerves. Like they treated Cori like an afterthought.
Consistent.
Yeah, consistently. But you want to continue to prop AOC up, but like you treat Cori and Rashida as afterthoughts. It's like and when you take people for granted, you're gonna be surprised. You're in for like a real big surprise. Like you cannot take people for granted. Like you needed to have given Cori the same love that y'all keep giving AOC. Y'all need to give Rashida Tlaib the same love that y'all keep giving AOC. But because, well, for one, I think a lot of it is colorism. A lot of it is colorism. And like keep hearing people talk about, oh, hey, AOC is so hot. Like, why are you? First of all, why are you caught up on that? This is a politician. For one, that's misogynist as fuck. Like you're basically objectifying her. And then two, like that is not serious politics. And you have people that fancy themselves electoral politics ball knowers that are basically treating her like she's some type of inanimate object. This is a very intelligent adult woman that knows what she's doing. But y'all basically ignored Cori, and no, it's not the precise reason why Cori lost. Cori lost because AIPAC was like, and that's the thing. Like, if we're going to keep dabbling in electoral politics, what is our plan to beat AIPAC? What is our plan to beat AIPAC? Because like you keep running these people. They get one congressional term, and then like you call this power. What power do you have if somebody can literally come along and buy your seat from out from up under you? That's not power. Apparently, AIPAC has the power. So how
AOC's just doing it for the love of the game.
Yeah, AOC don't receive no AIPAC money, so
it's for the love of the game.
Honestly, I think a lot of her shitty positions are because she's afraid of ending up like Cori and Jamal. But like but then you keep saying that she has what it takes to run for president. So which is it? Like you're not being ideologically consistent here. Like if somebody could, if you're so unpopular that somebody can come and buy your seat from under you, then why the fuck are you talking about? Why the fuck are you being paraded as a potential presidential contender? Because when you're in the national stage, it's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse because, like, you're in a friendly district now, but when you got to go to Utah and Vermont and New Hampshire and Iowa and all these places, then you've got APAC nipping at your heels and dumping like $30 million is petty change to them. Like when you're up there playing with the big boys, you better have your shit together. Otherwise, you're going to be embarrassed. And like that's the thing. Like a lot of these people in DSA do not understand that. Like you cannot just wish cast your way to the White House, and then we're going to have to deal with the contradiction of running a supposed socialist for leadership of an empire.
Mm-hmm.
I miss Corey too, Truman. Everybody misses Corey.
Mm-hmm.
What? Oh. Have you guys seen Glocky?
What's Glocky?
It's our mascot. It's Liberation's mascot.
I'm
We
so
have
glad
several-
someone made this.
We have several of them. They keep making them. I was
That's
like,
so good.
I was literally like, you know what? Somebody should give Bud a gun, and they just been producing these things for weeks and months now. We have like 12 little Glockies rolling. They've made Glocky non-binary. They've made them transgender. It's pretty cool.
We have a
developing
whole
pretty-
Glocky channel.
Yeah, we're developing an interesting culture in DSA and in Liberation Caucus. So we've got 10 minutes left. Do you comrades have any questions for us? Like, what are these insane Maoists doing? Why are you here?
I was gonna say I'm curious from y'all, like what are there specific things like, or I mean, like we can talk about. There's a lot of things we agree on in general, right? This whole chat we're talking about, like a lot of it's like nodding at each other and saying yes, but like are there specific things that you think the national organization needs to be doing in the next like year or two? Like and I mean like down to like the like support for chapters or like like those kinds of specific things. Yeah, like where are the biggest gaps, right? Like I know like I actually don't know what chapter you're in, but like like what are the challenges that y'all are facing, and like where can chapters connect to help each other, and also like maybe like national to facilitate that? Like what does that look like?
Well, I have an answer. Did you want to go, Chris?
I was just about to say, like, we need more like we need mutual aid, and we need like we need mutual aid, and we need like more actual tangible support to the lowest and deepest levels of the working class, especially with these disasters keep coming. Like in St. Louis, I was really, really impressed by the response of the left after the massive tornado hit in May. And also we've had the monstrous flooding that took place in Kirk County, Texas, that killed almost 300 people. Like, that's something that the left in general needs to do more of. And DSA, being the largest socialist organization, and I think being the best resourced socialist organization in the country, that's something that I think we should start doing, either by ourselves or in coalition with groups like PSL. And I want us to definitely pay more attention to building, like to intentional coalition building with groups such as PSL, with groups such as Palestinian Youth Movement, with groups such as Within Our Lifetime. Like, if we could have a united front with progressive Democrats, we can have a united front with other revolutionary organizations. Truman, see, yeah, look, you lost your member. You've got people that are joining the Maoists because y'all really don't have a presence. Isn't like Constellation like somewhat?
We have Red Star members in YDSA. There are a few. They exist.
We everywhere.
Yeah, they everywhere. Well, Truman, if you defect, I swear to God, Columbia ain't nowhere. You're stuck with us. Blood in, blood out, brother. Go ahead, Shane.
What I would really like to see from national, it's a couple of different things. Something like internally, like you were saying with the way that they can help chapters. I'd really like to see something centering on the lumpen, the incarcerated, the homeless, the undocumented. I haven't seen any of that from DSA. Maybe I haven't looked hard enough, but I would really, really like to see something like that being maybe even a proposal. Externally, though, I would like to see us build a coalition with Global South countries and parties and governments. For the same reason, I don't think the Palestinian liberation is going to come from within Israel. I don't think the liberation of the Global South is going to come from America. So we need to be working with those who are being most exploited by our country.
What if AOC becomes president? She'll be able to like I don't know, send troops to Israel or something.
Yeah. I want to throw in real quick for what
Social
Shane.
imperialism. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to throw in for what Shane mentioned there too, and I'll say from that conflict and from like I don't know where that conflict with Bowman was going to go, but it did evolve into like a point where you could say it was a crisis point in the org. And so like a lot of folks, like I'll say that like it kind of feels like there's a regrowth now of the political expression and the breadth of politics within DSA. And I feel like that specific conflict actually like I know so many people who like quit. Like I'm talking like people who are leading like our National Abolition Working Group, people who are doing some of the stuff like you were talking about who were doing like letter writing political prisoners and other things like that. Like it so like we lost so many folks who because like folks who were more aligned with those types of politics when they saw the continued reaction and play out for this, it eventually it gets to a point to where it's like I can't do this anymore. And so like that, like like when I was on National Abolition Working Group steering, we lost several people who quit in relation to that, and it's like, I feel like now we're getting into a space where now that is redeveloping. And I feel like inevitably it'll grow and become something. I feel like inevitably it'll grow and you'll see more of those things coming back up because there was more of that going on, but it's situations like we were just talking about that like,
Truman, you are such a fanboy. It was a good article, though. I was actually surprised to see it from you, comrades. But yeah, hopefully we have the opportunity for further collaboration in the future. But I definitely want all of you. How many people you got running? 4? You? I mean, yeah, 4, 5. Adithya, John, Meg, Andrew. Who's the other
Hazel.
one? Hazel. Oh,
yeah. God. So Megan's running for co-chair. Right. So and then John, myself, Hazel, and Aditya are running for the other seats on the NPC.
Yeah. I can't believe I forgot Hazel. Hazel is so sweet. Oh. Well, order it like everybody else. What do you want? Free shit? Just because you know BRG? Jesus Christ. I don't even get free shit. Megan, John, Hazel, Andrew, Adithya. Rank Megan number 1 for co-chair. I plan on it. You comrades are certainly, not because you subjected yourself to my stream, but just because of your principal positions. You comrades have definitely earned a high ranking from convention delegates. I look forward to seeing all of you on the NPC for this term. And for the next term, if one member, one vote passes, remember, you will suffer the tyranny of Black Red Guard, the tyranny of Shane, the tyranny. No, you know what? It would be funny as fuck, like if just random people end up on the NPC. Like it's gonna be me, Shane, Hassan Piker, like 5 Hamas members, Ibrahim Traore.
Look, I'm still trying to recruit Kala Walsh.
Kala Walsh. No, Kala Walsh is like the tanky Greta Thunberg. She's not joining DSA. She despises DSA.
I say this as somebody. I know she despises it, but I'm a fan.
She was in DSA, but she left. I'm a fan too. I love Kala, but no. Why would you subject her? Hasn't that poor girl gone through enough? Why do you want her to join DSA?
She's the change that we need in DSA.
You know what? I would love to see Kala on the NPC. You know what? Make her co-chair. But she's still YDSA age. Yeah. Make her one of the co-chairs of YDSA.
Also, you guys Chris mentioned MIM prisons, and Andrew mentioned the All African People Revolutionary Party. I would love to see them on the stream at some point. I would love to see them.
How is somebody going to stream from prison?
Look, there's people that are working out of there outside of the prison. They can make the phone calls. We can set it up with JPay. We can get it.
You know what? I think I did do it. I think I did do a stream with Rashid one night. It's possible. I didn't even know MIM prison still existed.
Yeah, it still exists. They still post. I still keep myself updated.
You judge an organization by how good it posts. Jesus Christ, we're terminally online. How many actual prison members do they have, I wonder?
Quite a few. They yeah. That's definitely an org that I want to see grow and come back, and maybe a collaboration with BRG and Red Star can do that.
Anthony Fantano is already in DSA. His name is Cliff Connolly. Anyways. All right. Well, thanks for coming on, comrades. Is there anything that y'all want to wrap up with besides this very, very weird tangents? Also, advice for new streamers: ignore chat.
I'll just say appreciate y'all having us on here tonight, and Red Star 1, 2, 3, 4, and Megan for the co-chair. You feel me? But yeah, looking forward to connecting and building some more.
Yep. Rank Red Star high, or you have to deal with the wrath of liberation. We're besties.
Yeah, with the bodyguard.
Thank you so much for having us on. This is a ton of fun to shoot the shit.
Yeah, we're very fun people. If you want to order Zeniths, fill out that long Google form thingy. All right, well, look forward to seeing all you comrades at convention in a few weeks. All right. Good night. All power to the people. All power to Red Star. No power to liberation. Goodbye. All power to liberation.
All power to the people.